Hello, my name is Miss Krissy. I'm from the Harris County Public Library System in Lone Star College side fair. Today's craft is going to be dragon eggs. All you need is a rock that you find from outside, like this one, and you can choose either markers or paint or even fingernail polish. So I'm going to do one egg using each one of the mediums. You can use one or you can use all of them together. Let's get started. The first egg that we're going to be doing is using markers. This particular egg has a lot of bumps and some discoloration. So what I'm doing is I'm using my marker and just sort of marking around all of these different bumps and discolorations. There's no one way to do a dragon's egg. You can choose to have your scales or bumps, odd-shaped circles, they can be stripes, they can be the scale looking, but because of this particular rock was a very bumpy little rock with all sorts of discolorations, I chose to do this method. I like that some of the bumps are big and some of them are small. It makes it look interesting, I think, and following just the natural contours of the bumps that are already existing in the rock, I think gives it a more natural look. I am also trying to follow around some of the discolorations so that the scales or the bumps on this look different from each other. I try to make sure that some are large and some are small. Even though the egg has all sorts of discolorations on its own, and I like that look, I'm using an orangish marker to sort of give a little bit of extra color boost to some of the spots. Though I'm not going to use as much as I originally thought I was going to, because I really do like the more natural look of this. And I think this egg is done. And now it's time for fingernail polish. I have a bunch of different colors that I had left over for something, and I'm just going to start by putting a little bit of yellow all over the top of the rock. This will make sure that the entire thing will get some color, even if I might miss later on. And, oops, I don't think I've ever had this happen with nail polish before, but the top of the lid came off. I'm choosing for this particular egg to go with lots of different kinds of circles. When I've tried it before, I did the more traditional scale shapes, but this time I'm going with circles. And I'm starting off with just one color at a time. This way, hopefully, it'll give enough time to dry before I start the next color. If you go straight from doing one color to the next without letting it dry a little bit in between, then your colors are going to run. The nail polish gives a very interesting smooth texture to the dragon egg that I'm working on. And back to some yellow. I'm letting it pool just a little bit. This will do two things. One, because yellow is such a light color, and as we saw when I put it on as the foundation, it tends to be clear-ish in some areas. So pooling it a little bit will give it more color. Also, when it dries completely, it'll give it a different texture as well. And now my favorite color, because it is shiny. Even though most of the other colors all have their own different kind of beauty, I like that having some shiny or metallic kind of look to it. Not over the whole egg, even though I have done that in the past with others, is to make the whole thing shiny. For this one, I don't want the whole thing to be shiny, I just want there to be some accents. I also have sparkly nail polish. The sparkly nail polish doesn't give a lot of color when I spread it on, so I am just sort of leaving little dots or beads of color, and this gives it sort of a look of little tiny jewels. I'm only adding just little tiny dots of the pinkish red because I want the egg to mostly be blues, yellows, and greens. And now that most of the dots have been filled in, I'm going back in with some blue and green to sort of fill in some of the colors. I'm also placing a little bit of color on top of other color. Make sure before you do this that the base color is completely dry first. And now it's time to paint. I'm going to start by painting the egg with some buff color, which is sort of just a pale cream color, and white. This way, when I put the other colors on, it'll look brighter. If you have gesso, you can use that too. This time I'm going with the more traditional looking scales. And for that, you're mostly making sort of a V shape and coloring it in. I am using sort of just up and down strokes with the side of my flat brush to make it look like lines. I am trying to create different shades of green for doing the colors that are beside each other, because I don't want them to be the exact same color as the one beside it or underneath it. I'm using a little bit of black, but you can use a dark green or a darker color than what you are using before to outline the V's, the scales, to make it so that you can see it just a little bit better. I chose the light cream and white combination colors for the base because I knew that I was going to be doing mostly greens for the egg, and I thought that the cream color would look really good with the green. And I am using just plain acrylic paints. I'm using a paper palette to make lots of different shades of green. So I'll just take a little bit of the one color and then add a little bit of white or a little bit of yellow, even a little bit of black to make the different shades. If you want to paint both sides, the top and the bottom, you'll have to make sure that the top is completely dry before you turn it over. And because I like metallic colors, and for some reason I think dragon eggs always have a little bit of metallic, I have a copper color that I'm putting on the tips of some of the scales. Not all of them, but some of them. And one or two scales I'm just going to completely do a covering of the copper. I like for there to be some differences in all the scales. I am also going through some of the corners and filling it in with a little bit of dark color to make it seem more solid. And there you have it, my 3 different types of dragon eggs. But there are a lot more ways that you can do your dragon eggs, and here are some of them. The great thing about doing dragon eggs is they can look any way you want them to. You can try and match up what you think your kind of dragon is with how your egg looks on the outside. I hope you've had fun, and make sure to give the video a thumbs up, to like and share. And if you'd like to see more videos of the kids' crafts and other events, please check out our LibGuides. Bye!